I'm a relatively tall girl at 174 centimeters, 5 feet 8 inches, and find that most men are the same height or shorter than me. I know the sort of stereotype is that girls find men shorter than them unattractive. For me, that isn't really an issue at all, but I'm more so worried or curious about the other side of the coin. So, to you guys, is a girl being taller than you a turn-off? Or alternatively, a turn-on or completely neutral? Story 1. Cannot say I have dated someone much taller than me, but I am open to it. I dated someone kind of close to my height, which also is 5 feet 8 inches, and that was nice. Made kissing easier. Story 2. Listen, I'm 6 feet 3 inches. I'd be super attracted to a woman taller than me. I'd be super attracted to a woman shorter than me. Point is, I just want someone who's good to me. I could care less how tall they are. Edit. I'm not going to change it to couldn't care less. I want you all to suffer. Story 3. It's not a turn-off, but it will make me hesitant to approach you because, in general, women want to date someone taller than them. So even if you are the exception to the rule, you're still going to deal with the effects of the vast majority of other women not being okay with dating someone shorter than them. In other words, if you're having trouble finding someone and like a short guy, just ask him out. Men don't have to be the only ones who approach, contrary to popular belief. When women approach us, it's refreshing, endearing, and attractive. Story 4. I'm fairly tall and I've hung out with some tall girls about 5 feet 10 or 11 inches, and I think they were like, I can't wear heels because I'm tall. And I was like, go for it, we'll be roughly the same height. And they thought being about the same height was weird. I don't know what that is all about, but then I've never pretended I understood women. The tall girls I've dated and slept with were cool, and I found them attractive. I've also dated my share of really short girls too. It's really more about the person and less about their height. Story 5. I am 5 feet 6 inches. I do not care one bit. My masculinity is in no way tied to my height. It is nice to see that there are some folks on the opposite end who feel the same way. Story 6. I could not care less, but there is a very strong preference by most women for a taller man. I would be willing to bet that this is actually what prevents most men from approaching women who are their height or taller, much more so than the guy's preference. Story 7. I have noticed women have more of a problem with height difference than men. It could be socially influenced or a natural biological attraction, probably a combination of both. That is not to say there are not men who feel insecure or threatened by a taller woman. Story 8. I'm 5 feet 9 inches and my girlfriend is 5 feet 11 inches. My ex was around a similar height. This never bothered me at all, but truth be told, I think this is right around my limit. I couldn't see myself with a woman who stands 6 feet 2 inches. Story 9. A lot of guys like smaller girls, but that's not all of them. Some guys definitely prefer their girls to be taller or just larger in general, not fat, but not only tall. Story 10. I'm 6'1", so it's not common that I meet a girl taller than me. But when I do, I look at them like any other girl, and their height has no bearing on whether I am attracted or not. Though I will say, usually I find taller girls very attractive. Story 11. I'm 6 feet 3 inches, so a woman taller than me is pretty rare. I think I've only ever seen one in person. Never really had much of a preference with the height of a partner. Kind of wish I had been with a girl who was closer to my height but never had the chance. Story 12. If most men are the same height or shorter than you, you must live in a short stature culture. I'm 5'11", and I'm rarely the tallest man in a room. Anyway, I don't think being 5'8" is something you'd really need to worry about. I don't consider that tall for a woman, just slightly above average. My ex was 5'11", and I dated another woman who was 6'3". The only thing that bothered me about dating the 6'3" woman was all the attention in public. People gawk at you, and you hear the conversations people are having around you. Of course, she was used to that. I just found it rude. I get that sometimes you see a person that just throws you off and you might mention it, but to just stand there obviously pointing at said person in public and alienate them on a bad day, I could see myself getting into conflicts about it. Story 13. To be honest, it doesn't ever bother me unless it bothers them. If she makes a comment about it or jokes about it, it will bother me, but until then I kinda don't care. Only for relationships, though. If it's just any person, then I could care less. Story 14. I have never been with a woman who is taller than me, but I wouldn't care if she was great. Then again, I have the benefit of being tall in the first place. Story 15. Shorter guy, 5 feet 7 inches. Here. Half of the women I've seriously dated are taller than me. For me, a girl being taller than me doesn't bother me as long as it does not also bother her. I was head over heels for my one ex until she would not stop cracking short jokes and seriously lamenting that she couldn't wear heels out to public dates anymore. Short guys are generally pretty sensitive to this kind of stuff since many of us got teased during childhood for it. So as long as it isn't an issue for you, I think most guys shorter than you would be very happy with that arrangement. Story 16. Since literally every person in this thread is a man saying, "Oh, I couldn't care less. I'm 5'8" and I do care. I prefer girls who are shorter than me. Just don't get the wrong impression that the vast majority of guys don't care." Story 17. It's a turnoff for me, but it's lower on the list of priorities. Can be evened out pretty easily, I feel. But I'm 5 feet 8 inches, and I hate it, so it's a preference for me to have a girl shorter than me. Story 18. I'm a short guy, somewhere around 5 feet 7 inches. I prefer women just around my height. However, a taller girl is nice. Honestly, things like forehead kisses just sound like heaven. Story 19. Wow, I don't know where you live, but I'm 5 feet 11.5 inches, almost 6 feet, but I won't lie about it. And I find myself looking up to most men in the United States, if not at least eye to eye. I've always thought I was average to slightly shorter than most men. Story 20. I'm 6 feet 1 inch, so it's rarely an issue as I've met very few women taller than me. It wouldn't be my preference to have a girl taller than me, but it's certainly no deal breaker. Story 21. It's embarrassing. You're either rejected by girls who think that you're not tall enough because their head is 1 millimeter above yours, or you feel weak. Well, at least the last one is for me because I'm very masculine. Story 22. Preferences vary for every person. You might be comfortable dating individuals who are 5 feet 5 inches tall, while some girls might not. Similarly, some guys may prefer taller girls while others might not. Completely depends on the person. Story 23. Don't mind it. Some men may be uncomfortable with that. Also, when women wear heels to an event, the heels may exaggerate the height difference. Story 24. It doesn't happen much as I'm pretty tall, but I've definitely been attracted to women who are as tall or taller than me. I was dating a woman who was almost my height and would have been taller than me in heels. She pretty much exclusively wore flats, though. Story 25. I'm 5'5", and a 5'8" woman is pretty much the maximum I'll go. Women taller than that can be attractive, of course, but things start to get awkward when a woman is that much taller than me. Though my experience in general is that women don't like men shorter than them, so I've never had the opportunity to reject a woman who was too tall. Story 26. I won't bother with converting to imperial, but I'm 1.70 meters, between short and average, and my girlfriend is 1.86 meters, so taller than most of my male friends. I was worried about what people would think at first, but 10 years later we're still together, and it's one of the things that just doesn't matter anymore. Story 27. I am a guy 5'6" inches, and I have always found it weird that people judge others based on something you cannot control, like height. Tall women are awesome and beautiful. Story 28. My mom is slightly taller than my dad, so I think that biased me to think that both people being the same height is normal. Personally, I actually prefer a girl who is about the same height or taller. I am 5 feet 11 inches, so there aren't many girls my height, though. My mom had a ton of issues when she was younger with guys not wanting to date her since she was as tall or taller than them, especially if she wore heels. I don't know why people care about height so much, though. I hardly ever notice someone's height of either gender unless it's really unusual. But even then, it doesn't change my opinion of them. Story 29. If a woman is taller than me, she is taller than me. That is all there is to it. Bonus. She can carry me around like a human backpack, and I think that is funny. Story 30. I personally would not date someone taller than me. 5 feet 8 inches is pretty much the tallest I would go. Well, that's what I would like at least. If a girl was slightly taller and we liked each other, I would be fine. Also, are all the men you encounter the same height as you? I am 6 feet 1 inch and find most men are as tall as me or even taller. I'm guessing you don't live in the United States then. Story 31. I am fine with it as long as she does not give me any negative comments about it. Generally speaking, I would be more conscious of my height if I were actually short rather than the girl being taller than me. My girlfriend is 5 feet 11 inches, and I am 5 feet 9 inches. Story 32. My girlfriend and I are both 5 feet 8 inches. As long as neither of you cares, then it's fine. I know some guys who wouldn't be comfortable unless they're towering over a girl. I've dated girls significantly shorter than me, and now my girlfriend is my height. It really doesn't matter, or at least it shouldn't. Story 33. Never really thought about it much, but I am 6 feet tall. That said, one of the very few women I ever encountered that I was instantly and powerfully attracted to was 6 feet 2 inches tall. Story 34. I'm 6 foot 3 inches, so I haven't met more than a couple of women taller than me. If I did, though, I would totally date her. Tall women are absolutely a turn-on for me. The tallest girl I've been with was 5 foot 9 inches back in high school, and honestly, it was pretty great. When she wore heels, we were eye to eye, and I don't think I can really express how big a deal that was to not have to bend way over to hug and stuff. It was like having a friend who was also an attractive woman. Story 35. A woman being taller than me is a turn-on simply because it is relatively rare. It adds to the attraction that I've never been with a woman taller than myself, so it lends an air of mystery to the situation. But I tend to be a bit odd sometimes, so take what I say as you will. Story 36. I'm tall for a guy, 6 foot 2. If a girl or woman is taller than I am, how I react is largely up to context. I'd probably fall pretty quickly for Lady Dimitrescu. Amy from down the block? I don't know. I have to see her in person first. Story 37. 5 feet 8 inches is definitely taller than average, but not freakishly tall or anything. Average height for men, at least here in the United States, is 5 feet 10 inches, so it should not be too big of a deal. For me personally, I find tall girls attractive, like some kind of Amazonian warrior. Story 38. I don't really care, since you're about the same height as I am. I also grew up with a sister who, for most of my life, was the same height as I was or taller than me. Story 39. I've never had the chance to date a girl the same height or taller than me. I'm also 174 centimeters. Though I recognize that it might feel weird, I wouldn't have a problem with dating a girl taller than me. So, are you single? Story 40. It's a little unexpected, but it's not unwelcome. 6 foot 2, and I briefly dated someone who was 6 feet tall and currently have been seeing someone who is 5 feet 11 inches. Neither is or was taller than me, but would be or could be in heels. I won't say it's not a shock looking up at someone or even straight ahead at someone, but it certainly isn't an issue for me. Story 41. Are you nice? Intelligent? Funny? Then I guess I feel pretty good about them. Are you unpleasant to be around? Then you are a bad giant. I would not like that. Story 42. Some guys are especially into taller women. My girlfriend is the same height as me, and boy howdy, do I love when she turns a look wearing her biggest heels. Come here, you big beautiful woman. I just want to kiss your butt that I'm eye level with. Story 43. I'm not bothered by it, but me being 5'7" seems to bother them. A few first dates just scoffed at me for being vertically challenged. So, yes, taller women have become kind of a turnoff for me. Story 44. I am 6'1" and once dated a girl who was 6'5". It never really bothered me. I know a few men who have absolutely no confidence in themselves because of their height and are bitter, but there is no reason for that to bother you. You should not bother with men that insecure to begin with. Plus, at your height, there are tons of men taller than you depending on the country you are in. Story 45. Right now, I have a shorter girlfriend, but a benefit of having a taller girlfriend is that being enveloped in a hug by a tall person feels phenomenal. It's like you get wrapped perfectly. Anyway, I don't really have a type, but I wouldn't be bothered by height difference in a relationship. Story 46. I honestly prefer women to be my height, and I'm 182 centimeters, 6 feet. Just the fact that I don't have to bend down is a good enough reason. And during sex, I like to see who I'm with and not the pillow. Also, tall women have so much leg, like so much leg. Story 47. I've always dated girls shorter than me and married one. Never really thought about the height, to be honest. My height, 184 centimeters, is about where girls usually are shorter. It would be fun to try dating a taller girl, but I have a feeling that my wife would not approve of that. She's pretty in that way, I reckon. Story 48. I would be rather surprised to find someone because I am somewhat tall, roughly 2 meters or 6 feet 4 inches. Normally, I would say it wouldn't bother me at all, but it hasn't happened yet. So maybe it would bother me a little as I am used to being one of the, if not the tallest in the room. Story 49. I am 188 centimeters, so it never comes up because I have an awful personality. I suspect the big concern is fear of scale. If the average man is about 13 centimeters long, then for a woman who is 130 centimeters, that is 1/10 her height. Meanwhile, a woman who is 200 centimeters tall might not even notice it. Using such a small tool on such a large project would be like trying to handle a giraffe with a chocolate bar. It feels large in your hand, but the best you can honestly hope for is to be accidentally stepped on. Edit. Changed from a small candy to a chocolate bar, because honestly no one outside of the United States has any idea what that is. And neither does the giraffe. Story 50. This will most likely get lost. I find that the majority of women do care about height, which makes a lot of men insecure. There are also a lot of women who could not care less about height, but a lot of men, whether it be society or just them getting into their own heads, have emotional problems with dating taller women. I would say most guys find tall women attractive and wonderful, but due to their beliefs, will not date them whether they think they won't have a chance. They will feel lesser throughout the relationship or whatever it may be. Now, this is a problem, and I wish people did not think like this, but I do not believe that it is 100% their fault. I am 5 feet 11 inches and my girlfriend is around 5 foot 11 inch 6 feet. And I love it. We can swap sweatshirts and sweatpants all the time. She is a wonderful, caring person, and her being tall is just a whole other bonus for me. So I would say it's all about the individual, but if you look at it as a whole, more men will be slightly insecure and think they do not have a chance, rather than not be attracted to it.